Good morning, afternoon, or evening, folks, and welcome to Cast of All Trades, the show where we talk about developing skills, exploring ideas, and following curiosity. My name's Orion. In this episode, I talk about the 8 greatest generalists and jack of all trades throughout history, not in any particular order, mind you, including Leonardo da Vinci, the Count of Saint Germain, Omar Khayyam, Zhao Heng, Zhu Liang, Benjamin Franklin, Jakob in Inchak al-Kindi, and Elon Musk. So let's get into it, shall we? Leonardo da Vinci, born in 1452 and died in 1519, was an Italian polymath of the Renaissance, renowned for his contributions to art, science, engineering, astronomy, and many other fields. He's probably best known for his masterpieces, such as the Mona Lisa and The Last Supper, but also thought up numerous inventions that would change the world, including flying machines, military devices, and much more. What was Leonardo da Vinci's skill set? If I had to break it down into just a couple of skills that really summed up who he was and what he did, he was an artist. He was a master painter and sculptor, an engineer designing bridges, military weapons, flying machines, so much more. He was amazing with anatomy, botany, and geology, really getting a strong grasp on the natural sciences. And on top of that, he was an amazing writer, writing treatises on painting, anatomy, mechanics, essentially taking all of his other skills and finding a way to share the knowledge that he's gathered over the many years that he lived. To learn more about Da Vinci and what his jack-of-all-trades skills did, I pulled an interesting story from his life, in particular talking a bit about his designs for flying machines. While Da Vinci never lived to see his flying machines truly come to fruition, he was determined on generating human flight. To do this, he dedicated much of his life to truly observing, trying to figure out for himself, how can we make humans fly? Da Vinci started off by watching birds, analyzing how they flew, and ultimately from that creating the Codex on Flights of Birds around 1505. It was from those observations on birds that he designed his first series of flying machines, those being the ornithopters. These are flying machines designed around birds flapping their wings, demonstrating a deep understanding of biology, aerodynamics, and engineering, and muscular structures that these birds would have needed to actually be able to fly and flap their wings. And these designs would actually later be used by modern engineers to create functioning robotic birds and ornithopter-style drones. Look it up, they are fascinating and so cool to watch. The next series of flying machines that Da Vinci would work on, we'd flying machines built around the design of dynamic soaring. This was a different path of bird flight that Da Vinci decided to follow. Machines that would follow wind patterns, catching the wind to be able to soar, similar to how hawks or eagles might fly, instead of flapping their wings regularly. This would later go on to inspire people to create hang gliders and paragliders, things that would catch the wind and allow us to soar just based on wind currents. Da Vinci had many other attempts at flight, including the aerial screw, which would later go on to inspire the creation of the helicopter. And what do all these things have in common? All of these were spawned from interdisciplinary innovation, combining biology, art, engineering, design to create technologies far ahead of his time. And like I said earlier, while he never got to see his flying machines come to fruition, I believe that if you would see humanity today, see what progress we've made based on his inventions, he would be so proud. If you want to learn more about Leonardo da Vinci, I would recommend the book Leonardo da Vinci by Walter Isaacson. Our next generalist is one of much well-renowned, the Count of Saint Germain, born around 1691 to 1710 and supposedly died on February 27th of 1784. He was a very mysterious man, known as the Man Who Never Dies. He traveled Europe and perhaps the world performing magical arts, sharing secrets seemingly impossible for him to know, making corrections to history that, again, seemingly was impossible for him to know but was later verified to be true, and displayed an astounding proficiency in all manner of talents. And what were these talents, you might ask? Chemistry and alchemy. Renowned for his alchemical experiments, he claimed a process of secrets for transmutation and the ability to create the elixir of life, which contributed to his reputation for immortality. Music. As a prestigious musician, he played several instruments, including the violin, the piano, and is well known for his musical compositions. Diplomacy. one that I'll dig into a little bit more later in how he was able to capture the hearts and minds of the noblemen all across Europe. Fluency in many languages, he was well known for his fluency in French, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, Dutch, Russian, English, and much more, and having some familiarity with Latin and Arabic. Saint Germain was also well known for his craftsmanship, his artistry as a painter, his jewelry making, being able to do wonderful things with diamonds, and for his work as an inventor, involved in various technological pursuits, including dye preparation and textile technology. He even started a factory for felt manufacturing. He had skills in mysticism and dealing with the occult and secret societies, regarded as an ascended master of sorts in many esoteric traditions. And finally, and certainly last but not least, apparently he had an amazing sense of style. So, to learn more about the Count of Saint Germain, who was he and how did these skills all play into who he was and how he became the legend that he is? The Count was able to enchant noble folk wherever he went, using his many skills. Skills as a musician, for example. Saint Germain often performed at royal gatherings, enchanting the court with his exceptional violin playing and compositions. He was apparently talented enough to earn the respect of well-regarded musicians of the era. This grew his social networks for those who appreciated the arts. Later, Saint Germain's diplomatic skills were equally impressive, as he served as a back-channel diplomat for King Louis XV, undertaking delicate missions that required both charm and intelligence. One notable mission involved negotiating during the 7 Years' War, where he sought to secure alliances and peace agreements. Saint Germain's reputation as an alchemist further enhanced his mystique. He claimed to possess secret transmutation and immortality, which intrigued many in high society. Indeed, his alchemical pursuits attracted attention from influential individuals seeking knowledge about health and longevity. Beyond music and politics and alchemy, Saint Germain engaged in profound philosophical discussions with other notable thinkers, with conversations regularly dwelling on metaphysics and the nature of reality as a whole. To learn more about the Count of Saint Germain, I would recommend the book Saint Germain, The Mysterious Count Who Never Dies by Sander A. Marcus. The next of our generalists I'll talk about is Omar Khayyam, a Persian mathematician, astronomer, and philosopher, born in 1048 and died in 1131, best known for his works in algebra and his poetry through Bayat. As I just mentioned, his skill sets mostly involved mathematics, astronomy, and poetry, but to see how his skills really stacked up and what he really did for us as a generalist, let's look at probably one of his greatest creations of all, one that would go on to change time itself. I'm talking about the Jalali calendar. In the 11th century, the Islamic lunar calendar had become problematic for agricultural societies. The lunar year consists of 354 days, which, over time, a very, very long time, caused seasonal drift, making it increasingly difficult to align agricultural activities with the seasons. Thus, Sultan Malki Shah recognized the need for a more accurate system to support agricultural planning and government, and in 1074 he commissioned a group of scholars, including Khayyam, to create a new solar calendar. Khayyam ended up being one of the primary contributors to the creation of this calendar, which had the following main benefits. A solar basis. The calendar was based on solar cycles rather than lunar cycles, allowing it to remain aligned with the seasons much more easily. The month lengths is able to be more standardized. Each month was determined by observing where the sun entered each zodiac sign, leading to various month lengths varying from 29 days to 32 days, depending on the solar transit times. And finally, most importantly, no seasonal drift, designed to ensure that seasonal drift would never exceed a day over centuries, eliminating the need for frequent adjustments like leap years. The Jalali calendar not only provided a reliable framework for timekeeping, but also influenced subsequent calendar systems in Persia and the world. Its accuracy was unmatched until the introduction of the Gregorian calendar in 1582. The calendar is still used today in Iran as part of the solar Hiraji calendar. To explain just how impressive the Jalali calendar is, picture this. You're in 11th century Persia, and you can somehow create a calendar that is accurate not only to the day, down to about 4 or 5 decimal points, compared to the modern day calendar that uses modern day equipment, modern day technology to be able to create our modern calendars. And they were able to do this back in the 11th century. It is impressive just what Khayyam and his team were able to put together with that diverse skill set that they had. those main skills being astronomy, mathematics, collaboration, and observation. To learn more about Omar Khayyam, go ahead and read the book Omar Khayyam, A Life by Harold Lamb. The next great generalist we'll talk about, going back in time a little further, is Zhang Heng, born in 78 AD and died in 139 AD, a Chinese polymath known as an astronomer, poet, engineer, and inventor. He's credited with creating the first seismoscope. And again, as I just mentioned, his primary skill set was astronomy, engineering, and poetry. To describe his life, I want to touch a bit more on that invention, the design and creation of the seismoscope. Zhang Heng's seismoscope was an intricate bronze apparatus shaped like a large urn. It featured 8 dragon heads positioned around the top, each representing one of the cardinal and intercardinal directions: north, south, east, west, northeast, southwest, northwest, southeast. Each dragon held a copper ball in its mouth with corresponding frog-shaped containers positioned directly beneath them. So how does the seismoscope work, you might ask? Well, it worked based on a pendulum-styled mechanism. Inside the urn was a pendulum that would swing during ground vibrations caused by an earthquake. This motion triggered a system of levers that opened the mouth of the dragon facing the direction of the quake. When this happened, the copper ball from the dragon's mouth would drop into the mouth of the frog below it. There was a blend of engineering, symbolism, philosophy, and artistry to all of this to create a fascinating invention to predict and figure out where are earthquakes happening back in the 1st century. It's amazing what this man was able to put together. But to talk a little bit about the symbolism of this, because anything that's old in Chinese like this has some fascinating symbolism to it. The dragons represent the heavens, while the frogs symbolize the earth. This design not only serves as a practical purpose, but also reflects the ancient Chinese beliefs about nature and cosmology. Zhang Heng's invention of the seismoscope is a testament to his remarkable skill as an inventor and scientist. By, again, combining mechanics with an understanding of natural phenomenon and artistry, he created a device that not only served several practical purposes, but also reflected a deeper philosophical belief about nature. His contributions later laid the foundations for providing principles for future developments in seismology and demonstrated how interdisciplinary thinking can lead to innovation and solutions for real-world problems. To learn more about Zhang Heng, I would recommend reading the book Zhang Heng, the Great Scientist of Ancient China, by Xu Bihong. For the next great generalist, we're going to take a couple steps, just a couple years into the future, still in China, for Zhu Liang, better known as Kongming, a Chinese statesman, military strategist, inventor, and writer during the Three Kingdoms period. He's celebrated for his wisdom in warfare and governance. His main skill sets include military strategy, engineering, craftsmanship, invention, and politics. Using his understanding of human psychology, military strategy, and leadership skills, Kongming was able to resolve much of the economic instability of the time and tensions between rival states. He did this through 3 main ways. First, agricultural development. Kongming understood that a stable food supply was critical for maintaining social order and military readiness. He initiated agricultural reforms that included encouraging farmers to cultivate more land and improving irrigation systems. His policies aimed to increase crop yields, which would ensure food security for both citizens and soldiers. Next, he also went on to establish military colonies. To bolster agricultural production while maintaining military readiness, Kongming established military colonies. Soldiers were encouraged to engage in farming when not on active duty, which would help sustain the kingdom's food supply and reduce the burden on civilian farmers. This innovative approach not only improved agricultural output, but also fostered a greater sense of community between the soldiers and the local population. Finally, Kongming also instituted fair tax policies and tax reforms that aimed to alleviate the financial burdens on peasants while ensuring adequate revenue for the state. He emphasized transparency in tax collection and sought to minimize corruption among local officials. His commitment to fairness also earned him the respect among the populace, and he was able to do all of this while defending against the Wei armies and performing other diplomatic duties. Truly a fascinating and amazing generalist in history. If you want to learn more about Kongming, I would recommend reading The Romance of the Three Kingdoms, attributed to Luo Gunzong. Our next journalist brings us to the 1700s, being Benjamin Franklin, born in 1706 and died in 1790. He was an American polymath, known as a founding father, inventor, scientist, diplomat, printer, and writer. and he played a crucial role in American history through his inventions and political contributions. I don't think I have to go too in-depth on who Benjamin Franklin is and some of the things that he's done throughout his life. So to keep this one short, you likely already know about Benjamin Franklin and his experiment with the kite and the thunderstorm. With this experiment, he was ultimately able to harness the power of lightning because he had an understanding of physics, nature, and an insatiable curiosity for invention and wanted to do more. To continue to learn more about Benjamin Franklin, I'd recommend reading his biography, Benjamin Franklin, An American Life by Walter Isaacson, a book which offers an engaging overview of Franklin's multifaceted contributions. We're going back in time once again for our next generalist, back to 801 to 873, this being Jakob in Ishak al-Kindli. For now, I'll just call him Jakob. So, what was Jakob doing from 801 to 873? He was an Arab philosopher known as the Philosopher of the Arabs, quite the title. But not only that, he also pioneered the study of cryptography or code breaking. In the 9th century, during a time when communication often involved coded messages to protect sensitive information, Jakob recognized the need for effective methods to quickly decipher and encrypt these messages. He wrote a groundbreaking treatise, or paper, essentially, titled On Deciphering Cryptographic Messages, which detailed his innovative approach for breaking codes. The challenge was Jakob discovered that different letters in given language would appear in varying frequencies. For example, in Arabic, certain letters often occurred more frequently than others. He theorized that through this statistical anomaly that certain letters will show up more frequently, this could be exploited to decode messages encrypted using simple substitution ciphers. So, what did Jakob do about it? He proposed a systematic approach to deciphering messages. He suggested that one could take a long, simple, plain text, the original message, and count the frequency of each letter. By comparing these frequencies with those in ciphertext, the encrypted message, he could identify which letters corresponded to others. His message involved writing the ciphertext alongside a sample plain text of similar length, counting the occurrences of each letter in both texts, and finally matching the most frequently used letters from both texts to deduce possible substitutions. This technique became known as frequency analysis, marking a monumental breakthrough in cryptography. And Jakob was only able to really come up with this solution because of his mathematical proficiency, his linguistic knowledge, his analytical thinking, his keen observations, and through the use of various other skills he's developed over his lifetime. To learn more about Jakob, I recommend checking out the book Al-Kindli, The Philosopher of Islamic Civilization by Peter Adamson. And last but certainly not least, I want to talk about a modern-day generalist, a modern-day jack-of-all-trades that's doing some amazing work. I want to talk about Elon Musk. Born in 1971, is an entrepreneur known for founding SpaceX, Tesla Inc., Neuralink, and The Boring Company. He significantly impacted transportation on both Earth and in space. So, what are his skill sets, you might ask? Elon has honed his skills in engineering, entrepreneurship, technological development, leadership, and soon politics. And instead of giving you a story of his life, I'd recommend you just watch what he does. He's been able to develop skills in engineering, business, leadership, and again, soon politics, and has used those skills in conjunction with each other to build bigger and better things. Starting with Zip2, going to PayPal, to Tesla, and to SpaceX, you can watch his growth as a jack-of-all-trades and watch his skill set slowly grow as he's able to add on more and more skills and use them in conjunction with each other to create bigger and better and more amazing things. To learn more about Elon Musk, there are 2 places I would recommend you take a look. First, the book Elon Musk, Tesla, SpaceX, and A Quest for a Fantastic Future by Ashley Vance. Or, even better, just follow his Twitter and watch what he's doing in real time. So what do you think? This is my list of 8 of the greatest journalists throughout history. Who did I miss? Who do you think I should have added to this list instead? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this episode, then please share with a friend you think would like it, or share it on social media. It would absolutely mean the world to me and helps the podcast grow so much. With all that said, thanks for listening. I greatly appreciate it, and I'll talk to you all later.